Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunj Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunj Bihari Jayo Radha Madhava Jayo Kunj Bihari Jaya Gopi Chana Vallabha Jayo Girvardhari Jaya Gopi Chana Vallabha Jayo Girvardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Yamunatira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunj Bihari Bihari Jaya Gopi Chana Vallabha Jaya Girivardhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Jayo Radha Gokula Nanda Radha Gokula Nanda Radhe Jayo Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jayo Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman Jayo Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Gaura Nitai Jayo Gaura Nitai Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Prabhupada Hare Krishna, everyone, and thank you for coming today to Bhaktivedanta Manor. So today we've got the Bhagavad Gita class. So we are going to do verse 21, but I've just had a message. We've got to also try and cover verse 20 because I don't think that was covered yesterday, apparently. So we'll go through it. So we're in chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita, as it is, written by His Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. The topic of this chapter is transcendental knowledge. So we've covered observing the armies, contents of the Gita summarized, and we've gone through Karma Yoga, and now we come to transcendental knowledge. Here Krishna is explaining the process of transcendental knowledge to Arjuna. So on chapter 4 we have 42 verses, and we're halfway through the chapter on this. So let's get to verse 20. Yeah. Okay, so verse 20 is abandoning all attachments to the results of his activities, ever satisfied and independent. He performs no fruitive activities, no fruitive action, although engaged in all kinds of undertakings. So this verse actually describes the initial stages of devotional service. So when you read the purport here, this freedom from bondage of action is possible only in Krishna consciousness, when one is doing everything for Krishna. A Krishna conscious person acts out of pure love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore he has no attraction for the results of the action. He's not even attached to the personal maintenance, for everything is left to Krishna. Nor is he anxious to secure things, nor to protect things already in his possession. He does his duty to the best of his ability and leaves everything to Krishna. Such an unattached person is always free from the resultant reactions of good and bad. It is as though he were not doing anything. This is a sign of akarma, or action without fruitive reaction. Any other action, therefore, devoid of Krishna consciousness, is binding upon the worker. And that is the real aspect of vikarma, as explained herein. So what this basically says is, the neophyte devotee, on the initial stage of the devotional process, he comes to a point where he wants to give up everything that he's doing, not take the results for it, but leaves everything to Krishna. Because in his maintenance, he starts to build that faith in Krishna. Because if he thinks, I'm doing this, that's where his egoistic thoughts come into mind. But as it says, quite clearly says, he's such an unattached person is always free from resultant reactions of good and bad. So the person in the initial stage is not too worried about what the results are going to be. He leaves them to Krishna. Because that whatever good or bad results, I'm doing my work for you. Please can you take charge of them? And that's where that comes from. And then we come up to today's verse, which is verse 21. Okay, I can't see this. Nashiri yat chit atma tvakta sarva parigraha. It's so small, I can't even see it. Yeah. You read it. Too small, I can't even see it. Yeah. You go then. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Let's see if I find that. Yeah, no, I've got it. Got it. No, I've got it in there. I've got it. Managed to get it in there. Yeah. Can't see on that. All right. Na sharire yata chitatma tvakta saram parigraha shariram kevalam karma kurvam napnoti kilbisham. Shri Radha Gokulan Bhagwan Ji ki, Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. So the translation is, such a man of understanding acts with mind and intelligence perfectly controlled, gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possession, and acts only for bare necessities of life. Thus working, he is not affected by sinful reactions. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. A Krishna-conscious person does not expect good or bad results in his activities. His mind and intelligence are fully controlled. He knows that because he is part and parcel of the Supreme, the part played by him as a part and parcel of the whole is not his own activity, but he is being done through him by the Supreme. When the hand moves, it does not move out of its own accord, but by the endeavor of the whole body. A Krishna-conscious person is always dovetailed with the supreme desire, for he has no desire for personal sense gratification. He moves exactly like a part of a machine. As a machine part requires oiling and cleaning for maintenance, so a Krishna-conscious man maintains himself by his work just to remain fit for action in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. He is therefore immune to all reactions of his endeavor. Like an animal, he has no proprietorship, even over his own body. A cruel proprietor of an animal sometimes kills the animal in his possession. Yet the animal does not protest, nor does it have any real independence. A Krishna-conscious person fully engaged in self-realization has very little time to falsely possess any material object. For maintaining body and soul, he does not require unfair means of accumulating money. He does not therefore become contaminated by such material sins. He is free from all reactions to this action. Okay. Om Gyanatimrindasya Gyananjala Shalaka Chaksharumalitin Yana Tasmai Sri Guru Vema Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Dvaita Gadadhar Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So we're in doing verse 21. So Arjuna is asking Krishna the cause of sinful activity. What is it that drives one to sinful activities, to do things which are not appropriate? Because Krishna wants to know the process of transcendental knowledge, how can he become higher than what he is. He's actually on the battlefield and he has to fight the war, but he realizes that we're fighting the war, he'll incur sin. And this sin is coming out from lust. What lust is there, one might think? He's being tempted by the idea of a kingdom. But Arjuna is thinking, yes, a kingdom is nice, but what point is having a kingdom without all his relatives there? So he has a desire to rule a kingdom, which is, again, in one aspect, rightfully Yudhishthira's kingdom, but all sinful activities that comes from the mind, it develops from lust. And the solution to this is, first you have to steady the mind. And how do you steady the mind? And that's through spiritual intellect. Until one doesn't have spiritual intellect, he can't strengthen the mind. Once the mind is steady, and then the spiritual strength follows, and then you conquer lust with that. So verse 20 describes the initial stages of a devotional service, where someone is, yes, he's into starting devotional service, he's thinking how it can improve devotional service, the initial stages. And where we come now to verse 21 is someone who's actually quite mature in devotional service. He's been in this process of trying to strengthen his mind, and spiritual strength is being increased, following the regulative principles and following the 9 processes of devotional service. So the new devotee, it's like taking baby steps. He's quite far away from the mature people who are in devotional service. It takes a while. It's not something that can happen overnight. It's just like we must have an aim when we're doing something. It's like we have to improve our goals. It's like when you're playing football, you're on a football pitch and you have goals at either end of the pitch. Now, if you kick the ball randomly, you'll never win the match. You see, 24 players on the pitch. If they just kick the ball at random, no team would actually ever win. But even on the football pitch, they have to strive to win. So they aim for the goal. And by aiming for the goal, they will win. So similarly, our devotional practice has to be dovetailed in such a way so we should know what we're doing. So we should have an aim. Like there's a saying that if you aim for the stars, you reach the top of a tree. But if you don't have any aim, you don't have any goals or aspirations, you'll never achieve them. You'll always feel yourself let down that you're not good enough. But even with these aims that we have, these desires and goals that we have, goals that we've put for ourselves, it's not that we're trying to imitate the very mature devotees. No. We're trying to follow in their footsteps. We're trying to learn from them. Because every opportunity that we have when we see any senior devotee is that we pick up a few pointers that can put us in the right direction to improve our devotional service. Now, this chapter actually explains the characteristics of a Krishna consciousness person. It tells you the symptoms of the devotee in Krishna consciousness. And quite and foremost, it says, he gives up all sense of proprietorship over his possession. So when you think of it, he gives up proprietorship even over his own body. Why? Because he gives this body to the service of the Lord. He thinks every living moment I have, I can devote it to serving the Lord. So quite often you see on the altar, you'd have the pujaris doing their service on the altar. You'd have someone in the kitchen cooking someone's going to be cleaning. So there's so many opportunities of service to do. And so you can, even by chanting, hearing, seeing the Lord, you have every opportunity to use every part of your body for the service of the Lord. And this is what the characteristics of someone in Krishna conscious, one of the mature devotees, this is what they do. So they give their body to the service of the Lord, and they maintain their body for the service of the Lord. And quite often, when you see Prabhupada, he used to go for long walks, and I did ask my Guru Maharaj once, His Holiness Bhakti Chari Maharaj, and he said that, yes, you do require a certain amount of physical exercise to maintain the body, to maintain fitness. We don't say that you give up everything, no. You do what's required for the maintenance of the body, because if you have health, then you're able to serve the Lord. And if you don't have health, you're not able to serve the Lord. So, we're using the body not for our own sense gratification, but it's for the service of the Lord. And why do we use our body for the service of the Lord? Like listening, speaking, chanting, cooking, cleaning, all these activities. Why? We do them because we want to seek the ultimate truth. What is the ultimate truth out there? Quite often people do ask us the question, have you ever seen God? Do you know what God looks like? And yet the very easy option to find out is air. Air is everywhere. We breathe it. We feel it. But can we see it? No. There are symptoms of air. Quite often you can see, when it's really windy, you can see the branches of trees are blowing. So that means there is a presence of the air. You see fragrance coming from flowers. That fragrance is carried in the air, so there is a presence of air. It doesn't mean that the air doesn't exist. The air is there, but we just don't have the senses to see it. So in a similar way, we are trying to find the ultimate truth of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So yes, we say work. Work is needed. We need to maintain the body. So to maintain the body, we need exercise. And we need to do some work to maintain ourselves. But when we say work, we should work in such a way that we're not overdoing our work. Because why? Because then that work will take over everything that we do. We get so entangled in it that we don't find the time, or we don't have... we get so entangled, so involved in that work that we don't get the opportunity to ask ourselves to carry on with our service. But why do we need to do this? Why do we need to do this service? Why does everyone in Krishna consciousness need to do this? Use our body for the service of the Lord. When we're saying there's no need for proprietorship, we think, is it really necessary? Because whatever service that we're doing for Krishna, we must remember, it's for our own betterment, because we do things haphazardly sometimes without realizing, without thinking of what we're doing. There are so many things that we say and do without realizing that can backfire on us. We end up sometimes saying things that were unintentional, but obviously they can have the wrong desired effect. And from certain things, knowingly or unknowingly, we can end up with sinful reactions. Because for every action, there's always an equal and opposite reaction. So what do? Therefore, we use our bodily form to worship the Lord. We want to help other people. We want to help other devotees. We want to help anyone that we meet. We want to talk to them and welcome them, say nice words to them. We want to share our experiences with them. Because when we share our experiences with someone, when we speak our knowledge with someone, we're sharing the idea of Krishna and who he is, what he looks like. And then, obviously, we're not doing prajalpa, because when you're doing prajalpa, which means mundane talk, we talk about so many other things which are irrespective. Then we're sort of criticizing other people, we're talking behind their backs, and then one thing leads to another, and it's all mundane activities, which is not what we want. Now, when you're doing mundane activity, but how do you overcome this mundane activity? There's got to be a way that we can do it. We have to act with our mind and intelligence. See, our mind and intelligence is a culprit. It can drag us to a lower consciousness. That's why Srila Prabhupada, and in the scriptures, it says we must follow the 4 regulated principles of no meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, and no illicit sex. So how do we, when we say we have to act with our mind and intelligence, we don't stop any of the activities we do. We carry on with our daily activities that we do, like working, studying. If you're working, studying, if you have projects to hand, not a problem, we carry on with what we're doing. But the thing is, when we don't follow the 4 regulative principles, our consciousness begins to drop, becomes lower and lower. And therefore we're trying to control our consciousness through the various aspects. And they have to be evaluated. Are they good and are they bad? Now, how do we control it? We control our mind and intelligence through knowledge, through reading and through listening. We can read the scriptures like the Bhagavad Gita and the Srimad Bhagavatam. We can listen to lectures. We can listen to someone chanting the holy name. When we chant the name ourselves, you get realization and you get this knowledge from the scriptures of who Krishna is, and only then will it benefit our consciousness and our mind and our intelligence. So the problem that we have constantly throughout the day, our mind focuses on so many different things, and so we're always in the mode of goodness, passion and ignorance. And those activities affect our consciousness and our intellect. It's like when someone's at work, you're in a good mood, you're in a happy mood, and then all of a sudden someone comes and shouts at you, your consciousness completely changes. You put up a defense, but then you think, hold on, why is he saying this to me? Hold on, he's got no right to say this to me. Again, that's what drives the intelligence. You automatically respond. Sometimes a person may respond straight away without thinking what he's going to say. But sometimes if you take a step back and think of what you're going to say, then you can mold it into someone that, into something pleasing. So you can affect it. He's not, whatever someone is saying to you, he's saying it to his body, he's not saying it to the person inside the body. Like when you're at work, because you represent someone, he's saying it to you. because you're wearing that uniform. Obviously, if you're not wearing that uniform, he wouldn't say nothing to you. So we realize that we are all needing to use our mind and intellect to come over this consciousness and what we need to do is, like here it says, the mature person in Krishna consciousness, he's not worried about what someone is saying, what rumors are going on. No, all he's worried, he's working. He just wants his basic necessities of life, and he doesn't want to accumulate so much. He just wants to maintain his life because he realizes that we're all part and parcel of Krishna. And we don't have any of the activities that we're doing. He doesn't have a part in it. Because in fact, he realized that we're all instruments in the hand of Krishna. As devotees, the Lord pulls the strings like a puppet. Like Srila Prabhupada just said in examples, the hand doesn't move alone without the endeavor of the whole body. It's only the mind, what's that word I'm looking for? The mind will allow the hand to move. The hand will not move on its own. So it's a combination of factors that comes into it. So therefore, the devotee always accepts and maintains Vaishnava qualities. The devotee will only require as much as needed. He will maintain just enough for his Krishna consciousness. The devotee will use his body for the service of the Lord. But why? Because the devotee knows that he is part and parcel of Krishna. So he uses his body for the service. He doesn't endeavor too much. And the devotee is always satisfied in all aspects of life. Everything is the same for him. Otherwise, what would happen if he wasn't satisfied with what he's getting? He'd be bound in this cycle of birth and death, and and also he'd be so much grossly into it that he'll have to return back again. Because the thing is, like, this last thought in your mind when you're passing away is what brings you back again. You get that certain type of body. So would he like to sort of come back again to finish off where he was? Or would he like to elevate himself and find out more about the Lord? And a classic example is, it's like when you're doing a project. Many of us do work outside, and we will have, sometimes we're given projects to do. A lot of things come through our mind, racing through our mind. We have anxieties, we have of the future, what will happen if this goes wrong, if that doesn't work right, if this fails. And in a similar way, when we're thinking of all these projects, the end product is, what are we looking for the end product for any company that does these projects? Is you get something back in return. And in the spiritual process, we get a chance to serve the Lord. The more mature devotees understand the scriptures, they have seen the truth. That's why they put it out to us. Now, when we're at work, when we're under pressure of all these things to do these projects, all these thoughts come up in my mind. But you probably realize that when you enter a temple or a library, there's so much calm there, peacefulness there. Why? Because there's serenity. All your thoughts diminish. There's only one thing that your mind focuses on, and that's the Lord. You see the sight, smell, and the sounds. All these protect our senses. Because when you're hearing the chanting of the holy name, when you hear the Lord's name, your mind is at peace. If you go to a disco or a party, you have these loud banging sounds, your mind cannot focus. And so when you come to this sort of environment, your mind is focused, your mind and intellect automatically becomes quiet and subdued. Therefore we need proper training So what we say is we don't need to stop our occupation that we're doing. Look at example of Srila Prabhupada. He was a householder, he was working, but he still carried on with his Krishna consciousness. And he preached at the same time. So in all activities that we do, ideally we need to keep Krishna in the center of all our daily activities. And in this Krishna consciousness, like they say, there's no timeline imposed. We have to follow the process and see the change. And then you can reach it. If I say, oh yes, by end of next month, I want to become a pure devotee. Yes, it might happen from your past karma, but don't set yourself very hard and fast boundaries or rules. When you see the example of our spiritual masters and Srila Prabhupada, they're all the same. They have gone through this process. They've seen the change in them. We can see the change in them. So I think it's coming up to 7 o'clock. I better close down. So just quickly summarize it. So we are all part and parcel of Krishna. We need an aim in life. Otherwise we are moving hopelessly. As devotees, use this body for the service of Krishna, use our mind, body and words to please Him. Nothing is independent of Him. We're like puppets on a string. We need to maintain this body to serve the Lord. Don't overly maintain it, otherwise you're bound by it. Every action has an equal opposite reaction. Train your mind by chanting, reading, listening of Krishna Katha. Even though there is no time limit, let's take the first steps toward Krishna and He will reciprocate with us. Like a project, we always say, this is mine, this is mine. Nothing like that there.
Shri Radha Gokulan ki, Shri Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman ki, Shri Gaura Nitai ki, Srila Prabhupada ki. Jayo, Jayo, Gaura Chandre, Arati Kashobha.
Swami.